felt like a lot of people could maybe doormat me because I didn't know how to say no. I had the insomnia, which is awful. I do know that insomnia really drains us of energy and clear thinking. And I'm quite a vain person, and my weight was yo-yoing, so that was horrid. What I couldn't really find was what I was looking for. I went to a number of therapists and different therapies, and it helped for a while. But what I felt I needed was to really get down to the core of that healing that was needed, the crisis that I was having in the late 1970s, that its antecedents, where it came from, was in the younger years of my life. I went to college, studied psychology, psychotherapy, hypnotherapy, went to different schools, and in my own rigorous way and need for authentic and lasting cure, what I feel I've managed to do over the past 30 years is take gems from a number of schools and polish them and polish them. And so what I'd like to talk to you about, because it is my vision to end, finally, all mind emotional suffering, which is a big vision to have, but hey, I think we've all got big visions and big dreams. And just to talk to you now about more simple symptoms, such as the insomnia and difficulty with weight and nervousness and stressing and worrying, or feeling doormatted, unable to say no to other people, and indeed unable to say no to food. But I don't think mathematics really comes into the symptoms that any of us are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. It's like if we're suffering with what we're considering simple symptoms, we are doing just that. We're suffering. And that kind of suffering really precludes us all as unique individuals from experiencing inner peace. So my search is for inner peace for individuals, and that inner peace bringing an inner kind of stability, along with that an open and strong heart to be caring and careful of others' needs, and an inner peace and stability that can also enable us to have whopping great fun and playfulness and just be cheeky if we want to, and at the same time being caring for others. My kind of ideas over the last 30 over years is that gaining that inner peace will spread out and out to others, and then that will continue to spread globally to others. So again, as I've already said, that's a big vision to have, but I do have big visions. So yeah, my anxieties, nervousness, weight problems, insomnia, they were cured authentically and permanently with those number of strategies that I put together. And specifically, one of my greatest teachers, I was able to go to the States to study with him, David Grove. So I might come back to David Grove in a few moments' time. But if we look at the history, and perhaps the history of consciousness in our modern day history, if we Maybe start with Asclepius, who was a healer in the Delphic temples, and his symbol was the caduceus, which is the beautiful stick with the snakes that wind and the eagle's wings at the top, meaning balance and harmony and peace within, and that the caduceus is still used for modern day healing and is indeed the symbol of the British Medical Association. So Asclepius would take people who were suffering those mind, emotional problems, he'd take them into the temple and he'd assist them to begin to dream healing dreams. And then I'm only just going to touch a little bit on modern day history, but then if we come way up to the mid-1800s, to a surgeon, James Braid, in Scotland in the UK, and one of his colleagues, who was a renowned physiologist. They got together and they were exploring hypnosis and hypnotherapy as a way of healing mind, emotional suffering. Then again in the mid to late 1800s, in Paris, we have the eminent neurosurgeon Charcot. Excuse me, anybody who speaks French fluently if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. And a student of his, Janet, again, I'm not very good on French. And they too, Charcot and Janet, in the mid to late 1800s, were exploring hypnosis as a way of healing. And what they were discovering, and the discoveries all along, seemed to be that giving an individual advice, directions, authoritarian commands wasn't really authentically working to thoroughly resolve problems, mind, emotional problems. And then, of course, up into the early 20th century, we had Freud, and great work Freud did in that he persuaded the British Medical Association that we individuals actually do have an unconscious mind. The British Medical Association were not for accepting that until Freud came along, and then Freud's student, Jung. And so we're moving on, in my understanding, into a new revolution of consciousness, which means that we enable ourselves on the journey to become more conscious. So here's the thing, throughout this history, what we've been doing, understandably, is attempting to just get rid of the symptom. So whatever that symptom is, and I started by saying I just wanted to consider simple symptoms, even though they are debilitating. As I said, the weight gains, the insomnia, nervousness, stressing and worrying, anger, difficulty in relating to others. We just want rid of this symptom. But here's the thing, if you would be interested to consider, the symptom is the solution. It's searching for the problem. What am I talking about here? It's like if we get rid of the symptom, we're still going to have the problem, which lies within the unconscious mind and will continue to want to drive that symptom. I'm really, really keen on allegory. It's really useful to consider allegory. So if you consider this allegory, let's just say the walls in a house, in a certain room or rooms, are damp. And getting rid of symptoms is a bit like just plastering over the damp, taking the old plaster off, plastering it up, wallpapering, painting, whatever. The damp will want to come through. And let's just consider simplistically that the problem is that there are slates or tiles missing off the roof. So it doesn't really work that well because our mind emotional problems are what we call psychoactive. They're telling us something. So maybe just consider that statement again. Perhaps if you're watching or listening for yourself, some nervousness, insomnia, weight problem, or stressing and worrying, or you're watching or listening for a loved one, the symptom is the solution. It's searching for the problem. How does that resonate with you? I'm just going to carry on explaining if you stay with me. Thank you. Okay, so I just want to sidetrack a little bit for a few moments. When we're dealing with a symptom, we can have one of 4 wants. So we'll be saying to ourselves, I want, I want, I want. The usual want is, I want rid of this. It's something I've got, absolutely, it's bothering me, it's holding me up in life. I want rid of it. I want rid of the inability to say no to food. I want rid of the tossing and turning at night. I want rid of the nervousness, and so on. And the other, second type of want is, I want something that I haven't got. I want to sleep well. I want to feel really confident. I want to relate to people. I want to be able to say no to certain things in life. So that would be the second kind of want. Sometimes there's a want when we don't really know because we're dealing perhaps with a number of symptoms, and we have to get focused onto which of those symptoms could be the first one to start with. And you, or if you're listening, watching for a loved one, will know when you give that some time where to start. A bit like my allegory of having damp in a house. Maybe the damp is in 2 different rooms. You need to start the search in one place to begin with until you find those areas on the roof, for example, where the slates or tiles are missing. So that's the third type of want, I don't really know what I want. And the fourth type of want, we're really not interested in. We are, but we can't focus our attention on the fourth type of want, really, as we're discussing this now. And the fourth type of want is that we want somebody else to do something. We want somebody else to stop being angry. We want somebody else to stop being in our face and telling us what to do. So we're exploring a want that goes inside of us to begin to discover the information that we need, which will lead us to the problem. And as we explore safely and comfortably the problem state, we discover that there within our own consciousness are the solutions and resolutions to authentic healing and to freeing up the part of us that's usually in the first 7 to 14 years of life that got stuck with that problem in the first place. So maybe you'd be interested in just beginning a first step on a healing journey for yourself by taking a few moments to answer this question next, or perhaps make a note of the question, and when you're in an okay place and you feel okay, maybe a trusted friend could ask the question for you. And the question is, and what do you want to have happen? So maybe taking a few moments to explore that question now or later when you could be and have time with a trusted friend. And considering to answer the question in the something that you want that you don't have, rather than wanting to get rid of the something that you do have. I'll just run over that again. So rather than wanting, for example, to get rid of feeling frightened, feeling nervous, feeling doormatted, feeling not able to sleep at night, to put that want into the something that you don't have. I want to sleep well. I want to be slim. I want to be confident. And so, as you're wondering about your own answer, maybe beginning to explore that safely and comfortably for yourself, that you could be interested in a second question, which is a second step on that inner journey to freeing and healing a problem state. And the second question, maybe take a note of it if you want to revisit this question later again with a trusted friend perhaps, is an awesome question. And really it's an important question to be out there for us to be asking ourselves. The question is about your own epistemology, and big words never healed anybody, but epistemology simply means, how do you know that you know something? And let's just take that example of not being able to say no to food. If we had half a dozen people sitting around with us who want to lose weight, want to be slim, toned, slender, maybe even sexy, if we asked each of the individuals this question, they would all have their own different answer, their own knowing. And the question is, and when you don't have whatever that is, the ability to say no to food, the ability to be calm and confident, you fill that in. And when you don't have that, how do you know that you don't have that something within you that you want, that you really, really want? And another step, if you're interested to continue this journey, again I repeat, safely and comfortably, on our Sally Stubbs Limited YouTube account, we have a gift which is a 20-minute teaching tale, healing process story called Let the Breeze Blow In. Go and try that. Try it once a day for a few days. That's really going to help you on your own inner journey to freeing and healing that problem state. And there's loads of information on our sally-stubbs.com website, and my email address, if you haven't made note of that. If you've got ideas, thoughts, questions, I'd be so pleased to hear from you. So maybe we can just explore for a few moments, why really bother getting out onto the roof and fixing up or replacing the missing or broken roof slates and roof tiles? Why not just plaster up the wall every now and again and redecorate and the damp goes away? So here's why, and this is a metaphor that a friend and colleague gave me recently. And at first I went, what? And then I went, wow, this is brilliant. And if you've got a better metaphor, please be in touch. I'd so want to hear about it. But what she was saying to me is, if we think of ourselves in or around birth, or in those first few months, or that first few years, first 2 years maybe, that the self that is born is absolutely pristine. And she said, think of it like a child's plasticine. Yeah, that's when I went, whoa, that our pristine identity is like a globe of child's plasticine. But I haven't thought of a better one yet. And in those first early years, when crisis comes along, or just bewilderment for a young child, or even trauma, it's like a little piece of that plasticine, maybe only 5% of the globe, gets stuck. And the rest of the globe of plasticine moves on in time. But that part of the plasticine that got stuck is emotional, it's alive, it's a life force, and really it wants to be freed. And it's kind of like there's a thread of plasticine connecting as time moves on, the rest of the self that's moved on. And sometimes it can be like, and this might sound a bit dramatic, but it can almost be like we've been walking through life with half our leg missing. And how courageous have we been to do that? The part of ourselves gets stuck back there in time. And then this thread of communication becomes active, perhaps years and years later, when we have some kind of crisis or catastrophe. And catastrophe can simply be the last straw on a camel's back. We don't even know we're in catastrophe. We've been so courageous, we've kept going through life with a missing part of ourselves somewhere back in time. That fragment of ourself got stuck back in time originally as a protective mechanism. And I'd like to explore that with you and discuss that with you at another time. So what we're doing with this kind of work is we're following the information on that thread of communication to find that lost fragment of ourself, to heal it and free it to grow on up in time, so that in the present day we have that wholeness about us, to have that inner peace and inner stability, and to carry on spreading peace to others in life and happiness and fun. So once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for being with me. I'd be absolutely delighted to receive emails or messages, private messages on my Facebook page, Sally Stubbs. And I'll say goodbye for now, wishing you freedom to be who you were born to be, the whole of yourself, celebrating your life. Talk to you again soon. Bye for now.